Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Dragon Family. This is Sarika and Farah, and today we are continuing through The Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. Last time we just finished our chapter 1, and this time we are going to chapter 2, The Garden of Live Flowers. Yes, you heard it right. In this chapter, you will learn about how the flowers will talk to Alice. Let's start. As Alice comes to the garden, she sees a hill and desires to go to the top, but alas, she couldn't, as whatever route she takes leads her back to the house. So here, whenever Alice tries to reach the hill, somehow she just stops at the door of her house. So yeah, this is looking through walls, so everything is different in here. Alice then gets into an imaginary conversation between her and the house, arguing that she wouldn't return to the real world and end her adventure here. Again, Alice is pretending she's just playing a pretend game with the house now. So, resolutely turning back upon the house, she set out once more down the path, determined to keep straight on till she got to the hill. For a few minutes, all went on well, and she was just saying that this time she will succeed, when the path gave a sudden twist and shook itself. And the next moment, she found herself actually walking in out the door. At last, she cried out, saying that she has never seen a house that always gets in her way. Now, according to Alice, the house is getting on her way, but that is not correct because house can't move. Alice is the one who is moving here, so it's the footsteps that is bringing her back to her house again and again and again. However, the hill was still in sight, but there was nothing to be done but start again. This time she came upon a large flower bed with a border of daisies and willow tree growing in the middle. Alice spotted a tiger lily waving gracefully in the air and told it how she wished it could speak. So this tiger lily spoke to Alice. It told Alice that they talk to whoever is worthy of talking to them. Alice was so astonished to hear the tiger lily talk that for a few moments she couldn't speak. She spoke again in a timid voice, almost in a whisper, and asked the tiger lily if all the other flowers could talk. The tiger lily told her that every plant here could talk, speak loud with a clear and loud voice. So, as you can see, this is the mirror world, the looking through glass house. So there, everything is different, of course, and here flowers can talk. So Alice's pretend game was just it became reality. She was pretending to talk to flowers, and the flower actually talked to her. When the rose spoke to Alice too, and the rose and the tiger lily started their criticism about Alice's face, thinking that she was also a flower like them. Yes, so in this point, the rose and the tiger lily were discussing about her petals actually, which was her hair. They were saying about how wrinkled it is, it should have been bloomed a little more, etc. etc. So they are not aware that Alice is actually a human, but they assume that Alice is actually a flower. Alice, who didn't like being criticized, asked them if they ever get scared being planted out here without anyone to take care of them. To this, the rose replied that there is a tree in the middle who takes care of them. Again, Alice asked how a tree could save them when in danger. To this, the rose replied again that it could bark, like the tree could bark. The daisy cried to Alice. The tree says, "Oak, oak." That is why its branches are called oaks. Yeah, that makes sense in a way. Then, one after another, every flower started their conversation with Alice. and it seemed like the air was filled with small shrill voices until the tiger lily silenced everyone. Here the tiger lily seemed to be the boss. Then it comforted Alice by saying, "They know I can't get to them, or they wouldn't dare to do it. Now that tiger lily is threatening the flowers as well. She actually is the boss, or it actually is the boss." Alice told the flower that she was alright and bent down to the daisy, who started whispering again and said, "If you don't hold your tongue, I'll pick you." The tiger lily also agreed to this. Alice asked the tiger lily how come they can talk so nicely here and not in the garden or the real world. The tiger lily responded her by saying that most of the soil beds are made too soft that the flowers are always sleepy and couldn't talk. Yeah, you know what? If you have a garden, you can try this by making your soil beds too smooth and too soft and planting a flower. Maybe your flowers can talk. Who knows? Anyway, further the flowers told Alice that there is another flower in the garden that could move whenever she wanted, just like Alice. Alice immediately understood that there was another girl in this garden besides her. The rose told Alice that the other girl wore thrones all over her head. Now, when you hear thrones all over her head, what is the image in your head? Tell me in the comment section down below. At the same time, the larkspur cried, "She's coming!" Alice looked eagerly and found that it was the Red Queen. After seeing her after a long time, Alice realized that she has grown a lot. The last time she saw the Red Queen, she had been only 3 inches high, and here she was, half a head taller than Alice. As Alice tried to go and talk to her, the rose stopped her and advised her to walk the other way. But Alice, ignoring its words, set off at once towards the Red Queen. To her surprise, Alice lost sight of the Red Queen and found herself walking in at the front door again. Provoked, Alice drew back, and after looking everywhere for the Queen, she thought she would try walking in the opposite direction this time, and it succeeded. So yeah, of course it was the looking glass house, so every door has a different meaning. So right now, walking towards something just turns, twists. Yeah, this is how the looking glass house actually works. She had not been walking for a minute before she found herself face to face with the Red Queen inside of the hill she had been so long aiming for. The Queen asked Alice from where and why did she came here. Alice explained as well as she could that she had lost her way, but the Queen interrupted saying that it was her way, not Alice. The ways belonged to the Red Queen. The Queen once again asked her why did she came here. By this time, Alice thought for a little about how to answer her. The Queen, looking at her watch, tells Alice it's time to explain her the reason why she came. She also added that Alice had to address the Queen as Your Majesty. Alice responded to her that she only wanted to see how the garden is like. The Queen seemed pleased and patted Alice's head, which she didn't like so well. Then the Queen started exaggerating to Alice about how she had seen gardens compared to which this would be a wiser one. While Alice didn't dare to interrupt the Queen, she said to herself, "And I thought I'd try and find my way to the top of the hill." The Queen interrupted Alice by saying that she would show her hills comparison to which she would call them valleys. Now how it is possible that a hill is compared to a valley? Alice didn't believe the Queen's words and called that nonsense. To this the Red Queen shook her head and told Alice, "You may call this nonsense if you like, But I have heard nonsense compared to wish that would be as sensible as a dictionary. Now, afraid Alice that she has offended the queen, followed her silently through the court to the top of a little hill. For some minutes Alice stood without speaking, looking for all directions over the country, and the most curious country it was. There were a number of tiny little brooks running straight across from side to side, and the ground between was divided up into squares by a number of little green hedges that reached from brook to brook. Now you can imagine how this was. It was actually a very large chessboard. Alice, mesmerized by the sight, declared in a delighted tone that this was a large chessboard, and it's being played all over the world. She also adds that she wishes to be one of them, as she don't mind being a pawn. If only she could join, she liked to be a queen. As she said all that, she glanced rather shyly at the real queen, but her companion only smiled pleasantly and said, "That's easily managed. You can be the White Queen's pawn if you like it, as Lily is too young to play, and you're in the second square to begin with. When you get to the eighth square, you'll be a queen." Just at this moment, somehow they began to run. Now here's the thing. When you hear a read, you can be the White Queen's pawn if you like it, as Lily is too young to play. Do you remember who's Lily? If you don't remember it, Lily is the pawn of White Queen whom the White Queen addresses as the Imperial Kitten Lily. She is also the daughter of the White Queen. Not actual daughter, but a daughter. Daughter that's also considered as sons and daughters. Yeah. And just at this moment somehow all the groups began to run. Before Alice could even figure out what happened, all she remembered was that the queen took her hand and ran very fast, that she couldn't even catch her breath. All the queen ever said throughout the running was, "Faster, just how fast do you want to run?" As they were running very fast, Alice wasn't even allowed to say something. However, she wondered that all the things were moving along with them, and they went so fast that at last they seemed to skim through the air, hardly touching the ground with their feet. Then suddenly, just as Alice was getting quite exhausted, they stopped, and she found herself sitting on the ground, breathless and giddy. Now, here's the thing. Like, they seemed to skim through the air. Like, how fast was the running that they skimmed through the air? They were literally flying at the moment. If they are not touching the ground, that is flying. So you can imagine how fast the Red Queen would have ran with Alice, and how exhausted Alice would have been. I mean, I would have fainted if I had to run that fast. Now, the queen propped her against her tree and kindly told her to take a rest. Of course, she needs a rest like that. Rest is all she needs. Alice looked around in surprise, as this was the very tree under which they were this whole time. But the queen didn't seem surprised, as this was something normal in this world. When Alice tried to explain her that in her world they will reach some other destination if they run this fast. To this, the queen replied to her that in this place they have to keep running if they wish to stay at the same place. Now, if I want to stay at the same place, I will simply stand there, maybe say, but in the mirror world, in the looking glass house, they have to keep running to stay stationary. This was actually something new. And if they want to go somewhere else, they have to run twice as faster than that. Now I just can't imagine it anymore. Literally, when the Red Queen ran, they skimmed through air. They hardly touched the ground, which means that they were already flying when they were just trying to stay at the same place. Now they want to go somewhere else. Just how fast are they going? This is actually something else. As the queen saw Alice exhausted, she took a little box out of her pocket and handed Alice a biscuit. She was so tired, very exhausted, and all she got was not a drink but a biscuit. Alice, who was unable to say no to the queen, took it from her hands and ate it in the best way possible. It was as if the biscuit was choking her to death. All she needed right now was water, not a biscuit. As Alice was resting under the tree, the queen took a ribbon out of her pocket, marked in inches, and began to measure the ground, and sticking little pegs here and there. At the end of 2 yards, the queen told Alice that she will give Alice her directions, and asked her to have another biscuit, to which Alice kindly refused. The queen asked if she is thirsty, but before Alice could say something, the queen interrupted. At the end of 3 yards, I shall repeat them for fear of your forgetting them. At the end of 4, I shall say goodbye, and at the end of 5, I shall go. At the 2 yard peg, she faced round and said, a pawn goes 2 squares in its first move. So you'll go very quickly through the third square by railway, I should think, and you'll find yourself in the fourth square in no time. Well, that square belongs to Tweedledum and Tweedledee. The fifth is mostly water. The sixth belongs to Humpty Dumpty. The seventh square is all forest. However, one of the knights will show you the way. And in the eighth square, we shall be queens together, and it's all twisting and fun. Alice got up and curtsied and sat down again. At the next peg, the queen turned again, and this time she said, speak in French when you can't think of the English for the thing. Wait. Speak in French when you can't think of the English for a thing. Yeah, actually this is something which appears in chapter 10 actually. Not chapter 10 actually, chapter 9 it is. Turn out your toes as you walk, and remember who you are. She did not wait for Alice to curtsy this time, but walked on quickly to the next peg, where she turned for a moment to say goodbye, and then hurried on the last. How it happened, Alice never knew, but exactly as she came to the last peg, she was gone. Whether she vanished into the air or whether she ran quickly into the wood, there was no way of guessing. But she was gone, and Alice began to remember that she was a pawn, and that it would soon be time for her to move. Now, this was all for today, chapter 2. So, tell me in the comment section down below how you like it, how you like the Red Queen, and how you like the rules in the Looking Glass world. This was a very complex one because I wouldn't like it if I go forward and I have to walk in my doorsteps again. That would be very annoying. So yeah, that's all for today. Like, comment, subscribe it if you haven't subscribed yet, and tell me a lot about how you experienced reading this book if you have ever read it, or if you have ever read Alice in the Wonderland, or if you have watched the movie of this, of course. So yeah, that's all for today. Thank you for listening and time out.